Okay, agreed. I've done my fair share of videos on what it feels like to be an autistic person. Well, this video is especially for those who aren't autistic but have autistic people in their life. I'm going to do my absolute best to provide you with easy to implement, fantastic suggestions, in my opinion, on how you can help the autistic person in your life. You know what would be more helpful though, don't you? I know you do. It's teaching all autistic people how to act and be more normal. Yeah, normal. Hey, I'm that autistic guy, also known as Orion Kelly. I'm autistic and I devote my time to advocating for autistic people right across the world. I do that through my podcasts, my blogs, and these YouTube videos. And I do it all with the goal of improving the level of understanding and acceptance of autistic people. So if that sounds like something you'd be interested in learning more about, fantastic. Do me a favor. Could you please subscribe to my YouTube channel? Now, by doing that, by clicking that subscribe button and ringing the notifications bell, you're not only getting yourself access to all my videos as soon as they pop up, but even more importantly for us together, working as a team, you are helping me reach more people across the planet to strengthen their level of understanding and acceptance of the autistic community. So please subscribe to my YouTube channel. You can also find me on the socials. So if you if you're a social butterfly, like I'm not ever, why not like my page on Facebook? Find the Orion Kelly page, click that like and follow button or whatever and say hey. You can also find me tweeting, tweet away. Follow me on Twitter, and if Instagram's more your thing, well, you can find me on Instagram as well. So check me out on Instagram, whether it's Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, TikTok. I can't wait to hear from you. So get in touch, reach out and say hey. Also, I've got a website. Now on my website, you'll find everything. You can read all my blogs, listen to all my podcasts and watch my YouTube videos. You can even get in touch with me and say hey. Go to my website, would love to hear from you, orionkelly.com.au. Check out the website. Now in this video, I'm going to share with you some tips and suggestions that you can easily implement to help the autistic person in your life. Now I want to do a big shout out and thank you to Pete Warmby. I checked out Pete's tweets. Not supposed to rhyme, but it does. It's good. It's a segment, Pete. Take it and run with it. And Pete did some fantastic tweets on how to help autistic people in their life. I think he had about 30 tips. They were awesome. Well, reading them just inspired me. So I picked some of my favorites and this is that video. Oh yeah, the only problem was I had trouble picking my favorites. So we're going to do a two-part video. Okay, so on part one of this video on how to help autistic people in your life, I'll be discussing alone time, communication, expectations, and acceptance. The first tip on how to help an autistic person in their life centers around alone time. Now, I get it. Alone time is not exclusive to autistic people. I mean, really, alone time is a critical component to any person on the planet's mental health routine, so I get that. However, and I think it's a big however, because the way autistic people, like me, experience the world as autistic people with different brains, with brains wired differently, we simply experience the world differently. It would be impossible not to. And because we experience the world differently, it's not uncommon, and in fact, it's clearly going to be the case that for the most part, autistic people are going to require more alone time, more, I guess, debriefing or decompressing time than neurotypical people would. In general terms, this is brought about for the most part because of the hypersensitivity we experience to sensory stimuli in the environment. Okay, so that hypersensitivity autistic people like me can have with regards to different types of sounds, different types of smells, different types of feels, social interaction, forced interaction, changes to routine, people coming to your house uninvited or without notice, unexpected things happening. All of these things happen within the autistic person's brain and body at a hypersensitive level. So that's clearly going to lead to the need to escape the world around us. And it's in the escaping of that world that brought us to this overstimulated, oversensitized, overwhelmed state that autistic people really benefit. Because in that time where we seemingly withdraw from the world, we actually are using that opportunity, that quiet time, that alone time, to do our best to avert, to stop a shutdown or a meltdown in the autistic sense. So it's actually really critical. When we withdraw for the alone time, the quiet time, again, that doesn't just benefit us. It benefits our family, our friends. If it's a social occasion, it benefits the people involved there. It benefits more than us with regards to averting shutdowns and meltdowns. So knowing the rumblings are there, taking yourself out of that situation or allowing your child to come out of that situation, have a alone, quiet time, not only stops them from feeling horrible, which is the most important thing, but you have to look at the benefit for others, right? They can come back potentially and they will feel, again, more peaceful, or they won't come back. But what won't be happening either way is a meltdown or a shutdown that people will judge and won't understand. The next tip on how to help an autistic person in your life is all about communication. Again, communication clearly important in any relationship or interaction with any human being, so I get that. But what's critical when communicating with an autistic person, certainly for me, is the way you are communicating, the form of your communication. I'm not going to get too bogged down in talking about the inner workings of communication in autistic people because it's really in depth and there's plenty of videos I've done talking about different ways to interact with autistic people and why the whole idea of interaction is not only hard for autistic people, but sometimes can just be like a different language. Okay, it can be, I don't understand any of this. Okay, but putting that aside, from my point of view personally, this probably happens with my wife on the premise that I often can feel really bad, really guilty for not completing a task that may have been inferred by my wife or by someone. They may have inferred there's something they'd like me to do, but they didn't actually outright tell me to do it. So of course I didn't know I had to do it. I had no idea. I didn't read, pick up, see the inference. The thing about autistic people, or certainly me personally, is it's hard for me to see intentions, to read signs and signals. So unless I'm told, point blank, can you please, for example, do the washing and fold the washing or wash the dishes, or can you go to the post office or whatever, I often won't do it. Not because I'm lazy or I don't want to do it, it's because I just didn't know it was a priority. So it's really important for not only parents of autistic kids, but friends, partners, and family of autistic adults to understand that our brains being wired differently cause us to have challenges interacting, communicating, and receiving what neurotypical people are trying to tell us. And we've talked about that with regards to understanding signals and signs and body language, verbal, non-verbal, and all those things. And I've done plenty of videos to help you with that. But I think what's really important for parents and for partners and friends and family is to understand this doesn't change. Okay, this won't get better because it was never wrong. Right? This is a neurotypical versus autistic brain conversation. Okay, they're not going to grow out of this inability to understand your intentions and your inferences and what you kind of in your mind, like, oh, well, I gave you mental signals. I mean, what? So if you want to help the autistic person in your life with regards to communication, it's important you always communicate clearly in unambiguous terms. Now, it isn't about being rude or patronizing or coming across, I don't know, like an old school teacher talking down to them, whatever way you want to describe it. But it is about being clear. Clear, black and white communications and instructions. And it never hurts once you finish communicating to an autistic person about tasks or things that you might want to convey to them that's important. Why not say, does that make sense? If you've seen more of my videos, you've probably heard me talk about this a few times. And the next big tip on how you can help the autistic person in your life is to adopt a no expectations policy Frankly, I think that should be your policy in life. For a lot of things, people get so bogged down and stressed out about the expectations they put into other people and things they can't control. But anyway, this philosophy lesson is over. Let's talk about no expectations in autistic people. So even though it's completely ridiculous to me, it's just unthinkable to me, neurotypical people still seem to think that autistic people should, and in fact they expect autistic people to act and react the same as neurotypical people. But we have an entirely different brain. How is that possible? So to help the autistic person in your life, all you've got to do is remove those silly expectations. Remove the expectations that the autistic person in your life will somehow be a little bit more neurotypical today, will be a little bit more normal. Have you ever said to your autistic child or your autistic partner, for God's sakes, can you just be normal? Act normal. What's wrong with you? Stop moving around and act normal. Can you just stop eating like that and eat normally? Can you just stop sitting like that to watch TV and sit normally? It's based on an expectation that can never be achieved. Remove the expectations of how you expect an autistic person to be. We are not neurotypical. It's an unhealthy expectation, and removing it will significantly help the autistic person in your life. Okay, the final tip I'm going to offer on part 1 of this video on how to help the autistic person in your life is all about acceptance. I genuinely think acceptance is still probably the single hardest thing to achieve for an autistic person from their own family and friends. Forget about the general society or schools or workplaces. Forget about that. I'm talking about family and friends. In a perfect world, if you had a child who was born autistic, you would accept they are autistic. You would accept they were born autistic and they will die autistic. They will live their entire life as an autistic person. That's my idea of a perfect world. That level of acceptance. It seems really simple, but it's not achievable by many. I don't know how many times I have to say this, but autism doesn't weaken. It doesn't lighten with age. People think you can somehow grow out of autism, or the older you get, the less autistic you are. Well, that's ridiculous, because you are autistic because of a brain that is wired differently. It's not something that is bad. It's different. It's neurodiversity. I'm autistic. It's who I am. Acceptance is so much more beneficial to the autistic person in your life than continuing to expect that the autistic person in your life will change for, in your mind, the better. Rather than accepting them fully for who they are, thinking that they may change or get better with age in your mind, it sure might make you feel a little bit better about your life, but it detrimentally impacts the mental health of the autistic person in your life. And if you really genuinely want to help the autistic person in your life, provide them with unconditional acceptance. I hope my tips and suggestions on part 1 of this 2-part video, how to help the autistic person in your life, have been helpful. I hope they've made sense, but most importantly, please, I hope you'll implement them. Please try them, use them. You will help the autistic person in your life. And if you want to find out more about what it's like to be autistic, well, check out more of my videos, and I'd absolutely love it if you would click that subscribe button and subscribe to my channel so we can reach more people and raise a level of understanding and acceptance of autistic people. Hey, thanks for watching.